Good morning. Is this TalkBack?
It is TalkBack.
Hi, Bob Flynn calling. How are Doug and Mike today?
Hey,
great.
How about that?
Your old buddy Bob.
Our old buddy Bob. Hey, you went to a Bob convention once, didn't you?
I went in it wasn't a convention. They actually, in Avon, Colorado, which is just west of Vail, they had a competition. They had built a new bridge. It's a regular old highway bridge across the Eagle River, and they decided to have some fun, and they wanted to name the bridge, and they had a contest with the locals, and somebody thought it ought to be named Bob. So they said, yeah, okay, we'll name it Bob, and it kind of grew from there, and at the time, the local travel agency thought it would be great to have WCSR, my former employer, out there to do a live broadcast, and so we spent a beautiful weekend in November of 91, I want to say.
But didn't they invite other Bobs?
Oh, after that, they started the annual Bob Fest, and they had all sorts of other Bobs out there, and they had a Bobathon, and they, all sorts of different activities, and it went for, probably 5-6 years, and it just kind of, like other events, just kind of phased out.
That was funny, though. I remember thinking, well, how confusing if everybody there was Bob.
Oh, yeah, and I would have loved to have gone back out there, but just didn't work out when they were still having that festival. So I missed out.
That's crazy fun, though. Well, but now that you're not a full-time broadcaster anymore, you're involved in all sorts of other things, including the city government in Hillsdale.
Yes, I am currently one of the councilmen on there, and a Ward 3 councilman, and we seem to be having all sorts of interesting things going on over the past couple of months.
Well, as you probably know, you get to vote later in April on whether you want to accept a 1,000% raise in your pay, and whether you want to give the mayor a 700% raise in that person's pay.
Now, I have to tell you, we've heard from several people after, this recommendation came out on Thursday who said, hey, I'm moving to Hillsdale.
Yeah, well, come on over. We'd love to have you.
But what are you hearing about that? Are you hearing from your constituents since this recommendation happened?
Yes. The short answer, yes. And the short answer is no. Doug, and you've talked about this on your program for the past few months. The city of Hillsdale isn't the richest city in the state of Michigan, nor is it the richest city in the planet,
Right.
And so we, like other municipalities, are having our struggles trying to take care of things that the citizenry wants. One of the main things they want are better roads. They've been working on better roads my entire life here in the city of Hillsdale. But unfortunately, the funding for things like that hasn't quite kept up with the deterioration of the roads. So looking for money to fund road projects is a key, and one of the ways that the city has voted to do that over the past few years are with these special assessment districts, where the property owners get tagged a certain amount over a 10-year period to help pay for a new road. Well, if that's the case, and then there are some other things that, we're a little shy on funds for, different projects and stuff, I'm not sure where all of this new money is coming from to pay city council people and the mayor.
Because aren't I correct if you look at what the mayor currently gets paid, what members of council currently get paid, and it's a token amount, it's essentially a stipend, correct?
Yes.
You're looking at about $100,000 increase that would be directed
per year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So over a 4-year council person's term, you're looking at nearly $500,000 because they also get paid a smaller stipend for different committee meetings and things like that. So you're looking at roughly $500,000 every 4 years that currently the city does not have. But yet the officers' compensation committee somehow found a magical pot of money somewhere that says, "Oh no, we can do this, and it won't harm city finances at all." And I'm not finding where that magical pot of money is, because Doug, you know from your time up in Lansing, especially, that if there's a pot of money sitting in somebody's budget, whether you're Republican, Democrat, black, white, blue, green, purple, it doesn't matter. If there's a pot of money sitting there that nobody's using, it's going to be gone the next day.
There you go. Yeah. Yes, you're right. You're right.
And so I don't get it. And the other thing I don't get is, and maybe this is just me, I don't know, just speaking for myself here, but I didn't run to become a city council person for the money. You know, going in that, like you mentioned, it's a token sum. And you look at other municipalities, Coldwater, Marshall, Adrian, Hudson, it doesn't matter. It's you're there, for the civic duty. You're not there for the money. And you got to also remember, it's a part-time job. Now, do we work just a couple hours every first and third Monday? No. I mean, we talk to constituents on a daily basis. We answer phone calls. We answer emails. So, there's more invested in it than just a 2 or 3 hour city council meeting twice a month. But we're not in it for the money, and we shouldn't be. You should not run for political office to make money.
Well, and what a lot of people seem to miss, and I felt like some of the people in the compensation meeting were missing, is that you are the board in charge, but it's the city manager, or in Adrian, the city administrator, and their staff that do the day-to-day work. Those are the ones who are full-time. And
those are the ones that are also the trained professionals to do that.
Yes.
Those are the ones that have the college degrees, that have the certifications from different agencies. Those are the ones that have spent their life dedicating themselves to becoming a city administrator, a city treasurer, a city assessor. Doesn't matter what office you pick. They're the ones that are doing that, and they're the ones that should do that. Because when you think about it, if you put, and again, I'm not just picking on Hillsdale, any city.
Right.
Pick any city. Anybody can be mayor. Anybody can be mayor as long as you
if you can get enough votes. If the people like you enough to get you there. Yeah.
Right. And you could be dumber than a box of rocks. And I apologize if that offends somebody.
Because you're not saying it to offend, but you're just pointing out anybody that can get the votes can be.
Right. And then as you sit down behind that desk, if all of a sudden you're in charge of a city of 10, 20, 30,000 people, and you don't have a clue, and all of the people that used to do those jobs are no longer there, I feel sorry for your city.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
It's going to be a big mess.
All right. If I may ask, not meaning to put you on the spot, but I guess I am.
That's fine. Radio people are known to do that. By the way, before you put me in the spot, I do want to say something really quick.
Sure.
So I've got a used refrigerator for sale. And could use a blast of Freon. And I have a new blender still in the box that I'm asking $25.
All right.
It's not a mystery gift if you've identified it as a blender.
That's right.
Well, that's true. So I wasn't sure if I could sell stuff on this program or not.
We don't usually, but we can make exceptions.
Okay, thank you.
We do about everything else in the world on this program. So.
Exactly. So go ahead, put me in the spot, sir.
Do you plan to vote yes on this raise on April, 22nd?
No.
21st.
21st. No, I do not plan on voting for that. So here's the sad part. Okay? There could be more people that vote no on this than yes, and it still passes.
How does that work?
Well, I do believe it needs a super majority, from what I'm being told. So 6 of the 8 people currently on our council would have to vote no for it to fail. If 4 or 5 of us vote no, That's not enough, and it would still pass, is what I'm being told.
Wow.
The second thing that upsets me about this, and again, and this is not any particular person's doing, but our charter states that if this does pass, then the pay increase will go into effect in 30 days.
That's amazing.
An elected body should not be allowed to vote on their own pay.
And put it right into effect.
Right. And now if we were voting on increasing council's pay after the next general election in November 2026, yeah, I would agree with that because that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for the next people coming in, so it doesn't look like, oh, I just voted myself this huge pay increase. You know, but our charter needs to be fixed in that regard.
But I have a feeling even if that was the case, you wouldn't vote for this one.
No, and I'll take it a step further. If this thing does pass, even with my no vote, I will not accept the money.
I get you.
I don't want the $10,000. I don't want the $10,000. Now, could I use the $10,000? Yes, because there's some. This started even before I was elected, but there's a certain feeling amongst some out there that those of us that are currently retired that serve on council are well-to-do, and we don't need the money. And Doug, how long have you been in radio?
Oh, gosh, I started in 1959.
Are you well-to-do on a radio salary?
No, sir.
Neither am I.
No. Radio doesn't pay what a lot of people think that it pays. No.
No, but so could I use the 10? Everybody could use $10,000, but it's the principle of the thing. This is wrong on so many different levels that we shouldn't even be considering this. I mean, if they came and said, hey, we want to give you a cost of living raise or to match inflation type thing, a couple of percent here and there, okay,
That's a whole different story, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, we're not in it for the money, but if you want to bump it up a couple $100, okay, fine. The city should probably be able to absorb that. But, and the mayor's position, this commission actually wanted them to be at $30,000.
Yes, that's right. That's where they started.
And I'd like to know where those numbers came from. I haven't been able to find out from anybody where the 30 and the 10 even came from. Did they just pull these numbers out of a hat? Were they asked for that kind of money? I don't know.
The one gentleman, I believe it was Mr. Green, said that he had looked at average mayoral salaries. And I don't know how many people or how many mayors he, moved into that mathematical equation. But he said the average mayor in Michigan makes $60,000. He thought 30 was a good number that he threw out at the start of the meeting because it was a part-time position in Hillsdale's
But you
case.
can't really do it that way because a lot of the mayors are in a different form of government. For example, the mayor of Lansing, the mayor of East Lansing, the mayor of Detroit, or Dearborn, they're all going to make a lot more money because of the way it's set up and the population they serve.
Exactly. And, if there are those on our council that put a lot more effort into being a council person than others do, good for them. I mean, you should, question things, and you should look up things, and you should research things instead of just going in and being a yes man or a yes woman and saying, well, that's the way we've always done it for the last 50 years. We'll just keep doing it that way. You should ask questions of the city manager and of the different department heads in a polite, respectful way, I might add.
Sure.
But, and I've always tried to do that so that it is clear in my mind before I make a vote one way or the other that I think this is the way to go or I don't think this is the way to go. But you shouldn't keep a time card and say, well, I spent, 8 hours a day, all last week working on this project. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate that. You're a dedicated servant.
Yep.
But you shouldn't get paid. You shouldn't get paid for it.
Hey, Bob, we appreciate your call. He'll do it anytime. Hillsdale City Council person and broadcaster extraordinaire.
I appreciate your time, gentlemen, and you both have a great Saturday.
Any
you,
other
Bob.
parting words like booger or anything you want to?
You know, I've probably stretched the booger thing a little too much, but I can throw out there that if you're in the need for a new or used pre-owned vehicle, I kind of know where you could go for that.
Okay.
Just contact Bob. He'll help you.
Yes, exactly.
All right. You take care. Thanks for calling, Bob.
Have a great day, gentlemen.
Do it
Thank you.
anytime. Bye.